Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of SpecFicMedia.com presents Beyond the Wall, a Game of Thrones podcast. It is Wednesday, May the 13th, 14th. And last Sunday we had episode 6 of season 4, Laws of Gods and Men. I am joined this evening currently by three of our hosts, our three other hosts besides myself, and
We'll go slow, We'll go slow.
We might be joined by Nutty as well, at least for a short bit, but she is busy this evening. As you can tell, we have a non-video version of Christiana.
That's right.
But we have her voice and her great thoughts on this episode, so that is...
Well, I don't know about great, but you do have my thoughts, so everyone is entitled to judge their greatness on their own scale.
Well, I judge you to be worthy.
Oh, nice. Preemptively, even.
Preemptively worthy.
Wow.
And we also have Viv. How are you, Viv?
Good.
You ready for Balticon?
No, but I'm excited anyways.
Good. And Chooch, how you doing, Chooch?
I'm doing great this evening.
Awesome.
Yes.
I said a few minutes ago this will be the question for Chooch episode, because we have several questions of what he thinks might happen, or guesses of things. I want to hear what his initial thoughts on certain things, which we'll get to. I guess a preemptive strike for next episode. Because of Balticon, we are going to do something different for next week. We are going to first, instead of doing a Wednesday night full show, next Sunday, after the showing of episode 7, we will have a shorter episode, maybe 45 minutes or so, just to talk about our initial views, first viewing reactions to the show. We'll go as deep as we want to, just from our first viewing, but yeah. And then instead of having a show Wednesday, we're going to do that on Sunday right after the show, because we're going to have our live show at Balticon, which will be, actually, if you are going to Balticon, it will be Sunday evening at 9 p.m. in the Chesapeake Room. So that'll be what we'll do. We have 50 minutes there to do. That'll be a more targeted show, a little bit about episode 7, but then we'll do questions from the audience. Probably have a couple questions up my sleeve just to throw out to talk about with the crew, but we'll do it that way. If you are watching or listening before next Sunday, and you want to send an email to btw@specficmedia.com or post on the site any questions you would like us to answer at the live show, do that, and we will try to bring those up.
I have a question.
Here's the question. First question from Christiana.
Can you say that all again? I wasn't listening.
He's going to send us an email. I'm sure we'll get an email, honey.
That was half joke from the Lego movie, but I will confess I was. So I'll follow up with you for the more precise details. I think I'm trying to fix my picture. It still won't be video, but I'm gonna drop out of the call and hop right back in.
Okie dokie.
I'll be back.
Promises.
So while she's gone, maybe let everybody know that if they're going to be at Balticon and they go, holy shit, why are they doing a panel at 9 o'clock on Sunday night when that's when Game of Thrones airs? That's not a problem, because that's the week that there's no Game of Thrones episode. So it's okay, guys. Come join us. We'll get our geek on. We'll talk about it. It'll be okay. We'll get through this long week without them.
Yes,
weekend.
Well, I'm back, but it didn't work, so.
Oh, bummer.
What, Chooch?
I said, see what HBO does for us.
Yeah, I know. It was sweet of them.
I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, they scheduled our live show when Game of Thrones is on. That's horrible.
I gotta say, there's nobody.
Then Nutty saved the day by reminding me that I'm an idiot and to look at a schedule. So
they would have come anyways, PG. That's why people come to the con, is to geek out together.
That's it. So to recap for Christiana, who wasn't listening earlier, next Sunday we're going to have a short show right after the East Coast televised.
You don't really have to recap if you just explain it to everybody else.
No, it's okay. Just for you, because I don't want you to be left behind.
Okay.
Quick show Saturday.
10 o'clock.
No show next Wednesday because we're having our live Balticon show on Sunday. So, got it?
Okay.
There we go.
10 o'clock Sunday.
9 o'clock. Yes, 10 o'clock this Sunday
Yeah.
for our recap Google Hangout, which I will schedule that right after we're done with this. So we're going to do actually something a little different because I know everybody liked this episode. If you didn't, you wouldn't be on this show talking about Game of Thrones. So we're not going to do our initial view, our initial reaction, whatever, of the show. We're just going to jump right into it.
That's pretty presumptuous of you.
See, now she's going to pick it apart.
I know, she's going to pick it apart.
Her rating went from like 8 to 3, like that.
No, you're actually absolutely correct, but it's still presumptuous.
Yeah, I am.
He's the grump.
But I'm grumpy, and I'm going to do what I want, and we're going to jump right in. We might as well talk about the most amazing thing of the entire show, and that was Bravos on the damn map. So,
I know.
The little coin going down the little track and then spinning around the little cup, that was awesome. I was very happy to see that. In the statue, the Lord of the Rings statue.
It was very, very cool.
Or the lost statue with just the little foot, and then later on you see the whole statue.
Well, and the extra thing about the foot in Lost was that it had 6 toes.
There you go. Well,
which means nothing regarding.
But yes, it was a cool graphic leading into the show, which was cool, and then opened right into one of Davos's ships sailing underneath the statue, going into Bravos, and we have our talk about grumpy. That Stannis is just grumpy man. Standing on the boat, pacing around the bank. He's just not a happy man. So, Christian, what did you think about the whole scene in the bank, in the Iron Bank, with our friend Mark Gaddis? I was very happy to see the main banker.
Well, you know what? I have stated expressly in the past that I am a Stannis skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
But I will confess, Davos has me half sold after that speech.
Yeah.
Well, okay, can you clarify, though, for those that haven't heard your stance before? Do you
just that I like Davos an awful lot, but I've always thought that he should find someone better than Stannis to follow. But he made some good points.
I'm asking if it's because you don't think he's the heir to the throne, or...
No. Clearly, I think if we want to talk about like legitimate succession or whatever, then yeah, I think he's got the claim. Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, that is pretty low on the list as far as qualifications in my book.
Right. Right.
So, because I mean, after all, Robert didn't have the claim; he took it by force. Yep. So this is only what 17 years later. I mean, why is that the sole deciding factor? So I'm not. So I will certainly say yes, in terms of the rules and the laws of succession. Since we happen to know that Joffrey and also Tommen were illegitimate, it would go to Stannis. However, I don't care. That said, just the point that. If anyone is going to potentially actually sit on the throne and do so responsibly, it might actually be him.
Yeah.
With the mild caveat that there is the whole Red Woman, Lord of Light thing, which could cause problems. But like I said, I thought Davos gave a hell of a speech, and I don't blame the Iron Bank for finding it persuasive also. And also I like that we've now seen some of Braavos, because Braavos is cool, and I want to see more Braavos.
Yeah, my first thought is that I should have been cast in that episode because those two other bankers sitting beside, Taika. I mean, anybody could have played them because they had nothing to do. So I think they should have. I hope
they probably won a contest.
They were contest. Yeah, I hope they were contest winners because
right.
that was awesome.
Right on that.
And I did, even though he didn't say the words, the Lannisters pay their debts. He worded it. Davos worded it. They always say they talk. He doesn't talk about, or talking about Stannis. He says he doesn't talk about paying people back. He does it, and that's when he shows his hand for the second time, just to as that exclamation point. Boom! Mic drop.
Yeah. Remind us all. Oh yeah, he has no fingers.
He's that douchebag. Yeah, the guy that brought him food lost his fingertips.
So my first question for Chooch tonight is actually about that. What happens at the end of the scene? So the idea is that they're trying to convince them to get money. Obviously, he gives some money to Salador later, but do you think that what do you think that the decision of Mycroft Holmes there, was it that do you think that they decided to fully back Stannis and his claim and whatever, or are they just sort of playing both sides just to see, or what do you think the decision was? Or
showing up in the next scene with a big bag of money implied to me that they're backing him. It was a very stirring speech.
Well, and who knew that Davos's punishment would end up being like the most persuasive point that was made in that whole meeting? That literally was the mic drop. It was like, here's collateral or whatever you want, here's whatever you sign on the loan, no fingers, it's like very goddamn convincing.
I like it. No fingers. I love it. Yeah.
Well, no wonder you dropped the mic.
Yeah.
I just think it's a beautiful irony there.
But Mark Gatiss, who we talked about, he's one of the co-creators of the BBC Sherlock Holmes, done a lot with Doctor Who as well, I think. He's just perfect to play that part. And then I love the line where they're talking about the, your books are filled with words like usurper and madman and bloodright, and our books are filled with numbers. Less open to interpretation. Yes. And I particularly like the idea that he says the line, when Davos calls him Lord, Lord, is it Tycho? Tycho, is that how it pronounces
I don't think I ever picked it up.
It's something like that. I don't remember precisely, but it is something like that, I think.
But he calls them Lord, and then he's like, "Oh, we're not lords here." But the entire time they're sitting in these big throne-like chairs, and they're making them sit in these little, marble slabs that are, 3 feet lower.
Park benches.
It just
they're controlling the world, and nobody realizes it.
Yep.
So are you watching the Q&A chat, you guys? There's a lot
of hellos.
A lot of hellos going on over there.
I had not opened it up. If somebody can look on...
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Mike. Hi, Rick.
We have Mike McCauley saying Stannis and Red Lady versus Dany and Dragons, the ultimate PPV event.
Yes,
PvP? No, pay-per-view. I was thinking PvP in a video game.
No, I think he was talking pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Nicole says hi, and she says, if you guys are on Sunday night, I'm on panels at 9 and 10 over on the science track. Boo. So she's not going to be able to be there for us, and we're going to have to miss whatever that panel is. I'm sure it's going to be awesome and great for competing with us, Nicole.
If I was on video, you would see my sad face.
I know.
Mike Mike McCauley says red tongue, so we have a red tongue this evening, Chooch, is that right?
Oh, good God. What
There
did
we
Yes, sir,
go.
we do. Yes, sir, we do.
What did you
Well,
have?
it's a thing now, right?
Yeah, I know, gotta have
my
a different
God.
color
I need to
every
go buy
week.
more Jolly Ranchers.
Oh,
You should get some
geez.
sour apples for next time.
God, can I just
Like the way you
squirt
think.
dye on your tongue? Is it easier that way?
Rick
Just...
Myers says hello. Nutty says sorry that she's not here. Sheriff Bullock says grumpy face. I don't see PG anywhere. I'm grumpy. We'll talk about why I'm grumpy in a bit.
But I love the...
Not too much to be grumpy about, but do you like my grumpy little icon over here?
It's going to get the video pulled from YouTube, but, whatever.
Yeah, I don't see...
Oops.
No.
As long as I don't monetize it, I think I'm okay.
I'm not even able to change my little picture. It's not updating based on my profile pic, and I can't turn on the
I
lower
will
third
picture
either.
you in my mind.
Everything's ruined.
I love Mike McCauley's comment. Typing tonight's Q&A in WordStar 4.0 for DOS.
Well said, well said. On its own.
Anybody that watched George R. R. Martin on Conan last night knows that he said that he types or he does all his manuscripts in WordStar 4.0. So there you go.
Old computers never break.
Old computers never break.
Don't
It's
worry
not
about that
connected to
spell check
anything.
stuff. None of that.
It's
I'm also just thinking, no wonder he takes so long to write everything.
Yeah.
He says it's his fastest process, but he hasn't. He doesn't like all the help he gets. I think. Did you see it, Christiana? Thank you for the heads up on that,
I'll
PG,
confess
by
I
the
didn't
way.
watch it, so I can't really.
It was good. It was a nice interview. I'm happy to say that he's looking trim and healthy since the last time I saw him walking around a room. So
Nice.
keep it up.
So I had a couple of people in the Q&A say they could not see me. They're just seeing my icon, so I hope that's not still the case. If anybody can, not that I can do anything about it, but if you
It's a good name.
aren't seeing, so back to Bravos. From there, unless anybody had anything else to talk about that particular scene, we move, as previously said, we moved on to the boobs of the episode. Although we had more later, but it was nice. My first comment was, it's nice to see boobs and there's not raping going on, so that was nice to have just a normal HBO
Happy
boob shots. So very happy about that, yeah.
Consensual boobs.
Consensual boobs.
We have Salvador Sand telling the oldest pirate joke in the world.
No doubt.
And
I was
It
groaning.
wasn't new to me.
Aw. Well, that's good.
Sorry.
Why didn't you ever tell me that joke?
I don't know.
And then I was, you're watching, and I'm like, well, was that actually in the book, or is that just a joke I've heard 100 times? And I think it was just a joke that's always been out there about pirates, but who knows? But a good scene there. My favorite line being, "You're not my friend, my friend."
That was good.
He talks about leaving a big pile of gold at Salador's wife's house or what have you. So.
God forbid the babies eat.
But yeah, we had the cool looking gold sticks. That was pretty modern looking for Westeros or Essos in this case. So.
Trying to mix in gold pressed latinum.
Yeah,
It's a crossover.
Yeah.
We violated the Prime Directive.
Those are actually just foil wrapped Kit Kats.
Roll to your friend.
So, did anybody have anything else about that particular scene? I mean, what was your thoughts on actually Chooch about Salador? Did you have any understanding of what happened to him before we actually saw him there? Did you think he had just deserted Stannis and Davos, or last time we saw him, he was?
I think he had been paid to do a job, and he did the job, and that's it. Although I guess he was promised to be paid for doing a job.
Yeah.
So.
But last time we saw him, I guess, was when he was pulling Davos off that island that he had been stranded on. So.
Yeah, he was paid with a lot of promises of, if we win, you'll get A, B, and C, and then they didn't win. So he's kind of like, well, see you later.
Yep. That's my part.
Plus, he might have gotten the fuck Cersei, which, I think everybody wanted that.
Yikes.
So,
Wow.
Well, he made it very clear that it would not be rape.
Very true.
He made it very clear. She never got to meet him. We don't know.
Yeah.
He might have swept her off her feet, figuratively instead of literally in a rapey way.
So, if you don't have anything...
I was towing the line a little bit.
Let's move on to, I guess our next scene is at the Dreadfort, which would be my only real grumpy part of the night. Not the idea. I love the acting as far as what Alfie Allen did, and throughout I actually bought for the first time the idea that he had been broken, and that it was believable in that sense.
Yeah.
And the scene later in the bath was very powerful as far as buying that's his real his real place
reality,
now.
Yeah.
The main problem I had is, where is everybody? Last we saw, Roose Bolton was there, everybody's there, and now Ramsay had been ordered to go take Moat Cailin, and we opened this scene with a very lightly garrisoned Dreadfort, apparently, and nobody's to be seen. And then, my big complaint is just I guess the blocking of the whole scene of, they have the fight, then they're down to 4 or so Ironborn standing there, and 2 of them left with dogs, and threaten to let the dogs out. And the idea of, okay, well then what happens? Either the dogs are let out and they run, and then they cut and they go to where they are outside, or let me finish. You can cut me into it. Or they kill the dogs, and there's still only Ramsay and this one guy left, and let's take them. But not. I didn't mind the idea. Okay, they managed to escape the situation and they left, and the idea that she gave up, but just the blocking of it, and the idea of, here's this fight, come down to it, and then cut. What happens, and then they're outside and running. So I just had problems with how that was done, but maybe it's just me. How did anybody else feel?
Well, I will. See, the problem is they've got one ship worth of people. They don't have the resources to lay siege to the Dreadfort. This was intended to be a stealth mission, small party, in and out, sneak Theon out and get out. So when he wouldn't come with them, that caused a big problem, and that they couldn't afford to wait for more people to show up. So the instant things were not going to resolve quickly, they had to leave.
I think that the touch of Yara reading the letter that was sent with Theon's pee-pee, I mean, she's like reading it to them right as they're about to land and go fight, and I thought that was so powerful and just the perfect thing. Okay, this is your prince, and got them all fired up. But first of all, it was like Dothraki math, because it was supposed to be 50 of the meanest motherfuckers of the Ironborns, and instead it looks like a dozen. It almost apparently looked like a football team that got off that boat and went running in, and then there's just 4 guys at the end when they're standing off at the. How many made it back to the boat? 4?
Well, yeah, I didn't know.
It was disappointing in that aspect, but it was very powerful from what Yara and Theon gave us, and even that sick motherfucker Ramsay Snow. Oh my God.
I think even though it wasn't clear why this would be the plan exactly, I think they weren't not all of the Ironborn came off the boat. Like, it was a small party that was raiding the castle. I don't know, because they didn't really explain any of that. I will agree that I liked her reading the letter on the boat, but my real only complaint with the episode was actually in the last time on, because there were two things where they went out of their way to show us an old clip of something and then had a scene in the episode that explained exactly that sort of thing in such a clear way that they really didn't need the reminder at all. For example, seeing, oh yeah, here's Ramsay writing the letter that she then reads in its entirety. And then later also, let's show Varys saying a thing, and then let's have Tyrion remind him verbatim of what he said. And I'm just thinking, well, couldn't we didn't really need the reminder also, but I'm thinking, you know, editing guy had 2 minutes to fill. So
yeah, nobody can remember into last season. And there's just the growing, I guess for me, cognitive dissonance of time and space. And we've talked about Dothraki math, and we've talked about different things in the past, but the idea that, okay, we have instantaneous news travel between Meereen and King's Landing. One episode where they find out immediately that Joffrey's dead, and then this immediately, oh, she's taken Meereen, her dragons are getting big, you know, they know everything about what's going on in Meereen. Yet we have the end of last season, they get Dick in a box, they decide, we're going to save, you know, Theon. We know exactly where it is, because Ramsay pretty much tells them everything in the letter. And then we have Roose showing up saying, God, I had to smuggle myself into my own lands because the Ironborn are holding Moat Cailin and blah, 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 but yet it takes, you know, however long it's taken for Yara in her fastest ship with her crazy guys that she's with to get to the Dreadfort. Of course, there's things that we don't know, so maybe there's reasons why it took this long, or this, you know, it happened at this time, but it's just...
I think that would be the producer's explanation, is that there are reasons.
Right. And if they, you know, explain things that make it make sense, but I think just the whole news traveling faster than light has gotten to me when other things seem to take time, and then those damn dragons just grew a whole lot again.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to complain about that, just because I felt like my point had just been validated.
Yes.
They grow more year by year, no month by month.
What I will say actually is that I think of all the Theon scenes we've seen that we know are not directly from the books, I think this is one of the stronger ones, just in terms of showing us something interesting that actually moves the plot forward a bit, in that Yara understands better now what has happened to Theon and has changed her goals as a result. Yeah. And also just, you know, we got some action in it, and it just really illustrated how thoroughly broken Theon is. Because it's one thing to say, well, he wouldn't have cut Ramsay's throat because Roose Bolton was standing right there. You know, he wouldn't have been able to get away. Maybe he's still plotting escape or something like that. But for Yara to show up saying, I'm here to rescue you, and him yell back at her, you can't trick me. Tell him you couldn't trick me.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that it was actually a pretty good scene in that regard. But, you know, certainly Theon's, I think out of all the subplots that we're seeing in the show, Theon's is just the trickiest, because they're kind of forcing the timeline to be a little weird in the way that PG described. Now, it's not bothering me a lot, but I'll just say that in a strong show, it was not the strongest part.
Right. And I had, like I was saying, I had no problem with the acting. I thought everybody did a great job, and I haven't complained as much as some people about Alfie Allen's acting. I think some people, especially like season 1 and stuff, were just like, you know, is he that good of an actor with that type of thing? Really? But I remember a couple of conversations where people were not as strong about him as an actor. But the moment where Ramsay asks Theon, "Do you love me, Reek?" And just the 5-second pause and just the look on his face and the realization that yeah, I do love you.
Well, there's also only one right answer to that question.
Well, yeah, but it really felt genuine too.
But yeah, whether it was part genuine, part I'm broken,
like
I'm
Stockholm syndrome.
Part even for those that may be holding out hope that maybe he's somewhere deep down inside he's faking it and he just can say something to fool him or to keep himself from being beaten, what have you. But just the emotions that was going across his face that for that line and everything, I thought it was
so powerful.
Awesome.
I'm wondering if he gets reprogrammed to think that he's Theon again, if he can bridge the gap and
yeah.
Yeah, we've got that total mind fuck there, don't we? We've got
well, I mean, but you can't discount, before we talk about that, you cannot discount, I mean, there was so much suspense in that bath scene that I was holding my breath more than I was during the fight scene with Yara and the other Ironbloods that were storming the Dreadfort. It was like, holy fuck, what is Crazy going to do? What is he going to do to Theon? Theon was just as scared, and then you see all the scars all over his body, all the things that the torture that they've done to him. That was so amazingly powerful that I think it just gives weight to what you guys were just about to start talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I mean, it's a very valid question that Chooch pointed out. He's pretty thoroughly broken, but we could also say, look at what he's been going through. He's half delirious, and given all that Ramsay's put him through, is it any wonder that his first thought was that this was just a trick? Mm-hmm. Is this really a permanent brainwashing, or do we think that he could at some point recover given the right circumstances?
Yeah, I'm not sure if somebody just said this and I was zoned out or whatever, but yeah, I mean, this was the exact same trick that Ramsay played on him a couple seasons ago or last season when it was saying, "Oh, your sister's here. We have to go see her or go to her. She's here to save you." And, so, and that turned out to be the trick. So Mike McCauley says, I never felt the release of the dogs was all that much of a threat. They had some pretty big knives. And that actually reminds me, the other thing that I understand it's his character, whatever, but the idea of the shirtless guy in close quarters with a knife and a mace, hoping to survive against all these guys in armor. Didn't we, just in the last episode, we talked about, weapons and armor and...
Yeah, but I was watching Ramsay, and he was having a lot of fun going for the throat and for underneath the armor.
Oh yeah,
he has fun.
He's skilled at that type of fighting, but
well, I'll agree it's a trope, but I mean, as far as the dogs, the way I saw it is that if Yara thought that that Theon was gonna come with them, and they just had to get past Ramsay, and I think they would have been willing to take on the dogs, but he had already bit her hand in order to run back in the cage.
Right.
And she had already been warned by her colleagues, it's like, there are more people coming, so I think at that point it was a cut your losses moment rather than a, oh shit, we're going to die moment. It was like, how many more people are we willing to lose given that he is not even himself anymore?
Right.
And so I don't know that it was necessarily a case of, oh, these dogs are an insurmountable obstacle, so much as it was how much more time are we willing to spend dispatching these dogs now and going after this guy who's clearly nuts
and the reward
in order to save someone who might not be savable anyway.
Yeah, fuck it, we're out of here.
I think whatever happened that we didn't see, it's pretty clear by the reward that he got that he did exactly what it looked like he was doing, which was, I don't trust you, go away, I'm Reek.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was... Wow.
Yeah, I think that was what he was being rewarded for, was not going with her and calling for help and so on.
My complaint is, how many times does Theon get knocked out? Like after making speeches, why didn't they just knock him out and then just throw him over his shoulder?
At the beginning, right? Just knock him out.
Bonk.
Yeah, be done.
Mike McCauley says, I'm with Chooch. I thought that making him pretend to be Theon may backfire. Or I think that making him pretend to be Theon may backfire. So we'll see what happens there. I think that was all that I had about that. Do we want to move over to Marine?
Let's.
That sound good? But yeah, before actually, I'm stopping myself. So at the end of that scene, though, he's in the tub and they're talking, and he says, you need you to go. They don't say it, but I'm assuming they're talking about Mo Kalen there, since that was the original orders for Ramsey. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Marine, we have goats, cute goats. Dead goats, crispy goats.
Well, it's like I read something that called that a Jurassic Park reference. What happened to the goat?
And I
had a note for that. The dragon scene was awesome.
Yeah.
Love how that went. I was scared it was going to be worse too.
Yeah. What was Did anybody else think that the little girl or boy, couldn't tell really, was going to die?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I was really glad that it settled that rather quickly. But I also thought it was very interesting that, Pod may be related to the Targaryens, because when he tried to cook the bunny, he set it on fire. The dragon wanted to eat the goat, he set it on fire.
Callback. That was
so maybe he's got dragon blood in him.
Maybe he's part dragon.
That might be what the lady was giggling about. What, Christiana?
It's the only logical explanation.
Right.
Yeah. So great CGI.
Yes.
Dragon looked great. Even flying off in the distance, all that stuff. The burning and the grabbing of the goat was hilarious.
Well, just especially that, we're seeing them do stuff kind of out on their own, especially things that Daenerys might prefer they not do. And just the effects of it, they are doing a really good job of starting to show that these dragons, where before it was like this incredible, amazing asset, like people would follow her because she has dragons, and people are so scared of dragons and so on. But just starting to realize that if she is not actually able to control them, they could actually be a really serious liability rather than an asset at some point.
Well, I'm pretty sure that all the goat herders are going to go out and set their goats on fire and bring them in, because now they'll get 3 times their value. Everybody's going to cash out. There's going to be no cheese, no goat's milk, no nothing.
You saw Barristan in the background when she's like, pay you 3 times.
Totally.
First he's like, good God, woman, don't be doing that. Don't set that precedent. But then he was sort of giggling because she made somebody happy, so he was smiling to her. But yeah, I don't think his first reaction was that. It was like, what are you doing, woman?
Yeah.
Nicole says, not being able to cook, well, makes you a Targaryen? Sweet, I'm in.
Well, do you set your entire animal, if you are not vegetarian or vegan, do you set it on fire with the fur and all? I think that's probably the only thing the dragons do.
My Sheriff Bullock says, I don't remember that scene from any previews, and I'm very happy I didn't see it before because it was very suspenseful and impressive. Yes.
Agreed.
And Mike Macaulay says, I thought the child was toast myself. Agreed. So we have her atop the pyramid. Everybody's got to climb thousands of steps to get to her, I guess. And we have the goat bones, pay you 3 times, and then we have the introduction of Hizdar Zolorak. That's how you pronounce it.
Nice.
Who talks about his father, and the great line of Daenerys saying, "Oh, I'd love to meet your father. I'd be honored to meet your father." And he's like, "Biatch, you put him on a cross." So yeah.
I like how all the speculation and stuff that we've had over the last couple of weeks has ended up kind of in hindsight been almost spoilery. It's almost like, but that's going to happen, and it's not anything we should worry about. But it was just like we knew. But it was pretty cool to see her having to face up to the price of her decisions.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of foreshadowed when Barristan specifically said, "Hey, are you sure this is a good idea?" We knew that there had to be some complications coming. I liked, though, that, after, because he embarrassed her with that little move he pulled there.
Yeah.
And I like that she was briefly embarrassed, but then she got mad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing to acknowledge, like, okay, well, there's a point to be made there, but I'm still pissed that you made it like that in front of me. Like, you're going to call that a crime? I'm the queen. I get to decide what's a crime. So think about that for a minute before you decide what to say next.
Precisely. And the masters were going to be slaughtered anyways, right? Isn't that what we think happened, that all the masters were slaughtered?
Well, I mean, I think...
Other than this guy's kid?
Well, the question is that maybe, she had them alive and chose to have them crucified, right? They wouldn't necessarily have all been murdered otherwise.
Right.
She could have like this one guy that, Hidzar, right? I mean, he's alive.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah, so
I don't really
think
know.
They're not literally all dead. I think probably the ones who put up resistance to slaves wanting to be free were all killed, probably. But I think this is just really illustrating that ruling is not easy. Not that we necessarily expected it to be, but it's just goes to show you that, like, well, all of a sudden she's going to be in a place where, okay, this guy makes a really compelling point. Okay, go bury your father. Now what about the 162 other families who want the same thing for their...
Well, but, I mean, my thought was, fine, you can grab your dad and you grab one of those slave kids and bury them, too. Everybody that wants to bury one of their family members.
Well, she already took those down. It's their...
Oh, that's right, that's right. Okay. All right. Yeah, okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing about Hizdar. Not a spoiler to he is a character from the books. My point to other book readers, I like this guy a lot better than any sort of presentation of Hizdar in the books, and I like the idea of presenting him in this way and giving him a backbone and a certain, at least on the surface, morality, and someone that in his own way challenged her, not her authority, but just the idea of, hey, we're people here, we've been here forever, and we were, our leaders were slavers, but we still have our customs and morals, and you have to take that into account if you are going to be our ruler. So, but so I did like his introduction. We'll see where that goes on the show. Anything else that I wanted to talk about with Danny? See if I had anything else there.
Jorah was looking better this week, so I don't know why he looked so rough last time.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was just something going on, and there was definitely
maybe he just had a cold.
Yeah, or maybe he had some teeth work done, because I was like, I rewatched it or something. It was just like the way he was talking. It was like his mouth just looked funny or something. I don't know, but yeah, he did look a little more solid this time around, and I just like the asides to Barristan, sort of his looks on his face and everything. So we go back to.
Well, we got some Q&A about this scene before we change scenes.
Let's see. There we go. Mike McCauley says 212 more. Yikes! She's not going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah, definitely the price of ruling, sort of mirroring the Bran scene in season 1 where he was with Maester Luwin and talking to the people, and there's making decisions and stuff. So thought that was well done there. One concern I have is that how familiar is Dany with that city to think it's okay to be a nice queen and have the commoners not try to take advantage of her? So, yeah.
That's a very valid question. We don't know the answer to that, do we?
Yeah.
Like Viv said, we'll know how many goat herders come in with corpses.
Yeah. It's going to become the new hot trend to say, like, well, what sorts of techniques can goat herds try to attract the dragons and make the dragons come feed on their goats instead of their neighbors' goats?
No, I think they're just going to set them on fucking fire and bring the goat charred bones in. It worked well enough for the first guy. She didn't need eyewitness account. She took his word for it. Precedent established.
Yep. Yes, Sheriff Bullock says, and I agree. The line that Hisdar says, "I'm just a son that loved his father." Yeah, I like that line. A lot of his lines sort of turning Dany's words back on her, and but in a intelligent way, not just trying to push her buttons. I
love Nicole's. I think she's talking about setting animals on fire for and all. Her comment, darn no, but challenge accepted. I kind of hope that's not what she's talking about, but it's the only thing I can think of.
I thought it was she was going to cook us a meal at Balticon. I thought that was
with Fireball.
Fireball.
Yeah.
Oh, I got something special lined up for Balticon this year.
that scares me. I'm not much on licorice anyway, but
no, it's gonna be awesome. You're gonna love it. I'm sure of it.
Sheriff Bullock says, "What's 212 more? If a department store Santa can handle it, so can the Khaleesi."
Well, yeah, but the department store Santa gets to have a kid on his lap for 15 seconds and say, "I want a fire truck." And Khaleesi has to deal with, "Your dragons ate my goats. You killed my father."
It's really actually not ever having been a Santa, but having been a parent standing with children at Santa. I can tell you that I think it's actually pretty close to it. It's pretty awful.
No, being Santa is the easiest thing in the world. There are no harder jobs or no easier jobs. It's the absolute easiest thing ever. I am using hyperbole with the intention of it being obvious, but I'm not sure people realize that's what I was doing.
We can't see your face. We don't know you're being sarcastic.
I'm looking at an origami Christiana, so although I did look on YouTube and it looks like it updated your picture.
Okay.
So
that's interesting that it doesn't. Yeah, because I changed it on my Google Plus profile.
I think if we were willing to refresh, it would. But
well, that's why I dropped out and rejoined earlier, but it didn't work.
Oh.
So,
face. You can't see
we are... She has to describe her emoticons.
I'm sure the listeners appreciate it, though. The ones that aren't watching the video, they're like, finally, fucking somebody talking to us.
So, we jump over to King's Landing to the Small Council. The only problem I had was I think they're trying to play up the whole humor Mace Tyrell is a whipping dog thing a little bit too much. I mean, he is, one of the richest people in Westeros, and you have him there to make him, feel comfortable, and so he'll support the crown and what have you, and then you send him to get your paper and quills, and people, constantly making fun of him. So,
dude, he doesn't stand up for himself. He, if he wants more respect, he needs to demand it from them, and he's not doing that.
That's true. And the idea that I like Oberyn. It starts out with him saying, "So am I master of something?"
Also, after complaining, like, did they always start this early? I was up late.
Yeah, I know.
I think my only complaint about this episode, other than the one that I already mentioned, because I have many only complaints, is just that it just needs to be all about Oberyn.
All the time.
All the time. Yes,
he needs his own show.
Yes, I sent an email to everybody that basically saying, is it okay that I'm sexually attracted to Oberyn? And I think everybody, including Chooch, was like, yeah, of course, yeah. So.
I think the concern would be if you weren't.
If you weren't, yes.
Yeah.
So.
Robot test.
Sheriff Bullock has the personal message to Viv. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you.
So there you go there.
All of us are mothers, though, just a different kind.
Motherfuckers.
Oh, well, it just occurred to me that Daenerys didn't get Mother's Day wishes even in her episode.
No.
Oh, yeah, but we did.
She had to work.
We did have a much longer list of titles. Her titles just get longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
What I think is hilarious is that Missandei has to say all of that every single time the guy comes in.
That takes longer. 212 times a day she's gonna have to say that.
But she has to sound impressive every time. That's a rough
job. Let's see. We have.
Well, but actually, I mean, the way she's treated is reflective of the respect that Dany commands. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it kind of makes sense that she's going to do it really big and dramatic. And
oh, sure. No, I'm just saying that having to be able to carry that off and make it sound just as impressive on the 205th time, that's hard. That's all I was saying.
Maybe they were just opening court the first time that day, so. At least they spared us.
God, yeah. Damn.
They had a PA system to play it for everybody in line.
Nutty in the chat says Oberyn is so sexy he turns everyone's heads.
He does. Did you see how he was smiling? Like he was just kind of like sitting back, like, oh, this is fucking hilarious to watch. But then, like when it came to Cersei talking to the small council meeting, he was just kind of like looking at her like, "Hey, you, how you doing?"
I loved how he had his legs sort of hang over, and then
there's that bit
everybody else stands. I was gonna say everybody else stands up when Tywin comes in. He just stays now. He's like, I ain't standing up for you.
Well, he's all kind of flopped over in the chair. Well, but like you were saying, Viv, there's the whole bit where he's saying, actually the Unsullied are pretty impressive on the battlefield. Not so much in the bedroom.
And looks right at Cersei when he says that.
Yeah.
She knows what I'm talking about.
I think that fan is getting hot in here.
They first bring out the idea that Sandor Clegane has been spotted. Fuck the king was uttered, I think.
No mention of a little girl traveling around.
No mention of a girl.
But it's still going to be a lot.
Soldiers, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher for them to get away and to hide out with a bounty on his head now, though. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
So, he asked, what do you think it would take? And they say, 10 or something? And he's like, okay, 100 silver stags for anyone that can kill him, whatever.
Well, yeah. Because the idea is a lot of the regular soldiers would see the Hound and say, you know what, never mind.
Yeah. We get we learn that they know everything about Dany, as said before, that she has 8,000 Unsullied, the Sellsword group, the Second Sons, Jorah Mormont, Barristan Selmy, and 3 dragons, and poor Cersei throughout the meetings trying to defend either her problems or things that Joffrey did. So, saying, oh, well, Barristan, he was old. And, 3 dragons, they're just baby dragons. And they're like, they're getting bigger every year. So,
well, and I liked also Tywin just pointing out, it's like, I don't care about the dragons. Dragons haven't won a war in 300 years. Armies win wars all the time.
Yeah. I do like the idea that the 67-year-old Tywin, defends Barristan, at least in the respect of, okay, yeah, he was old, but it was as insulting as it was stupid to dismiss him. Well, someone who was leading the King's Guard for 3 kings,
maybe he would have known how stupid it was at the time, but right now he's kind of benefiting from hindsight, right? He's benefiting from getting to say, look what happened. It's not like he's getting to say, I told you so. It's more like, well, clearly it was a mistake because now he's advising the Queen across the sea.
Right.
So, it's not like he would have known that was going to happen.
And no king died on his watch.
Yeah. Although The Mad King died on his watch, but
and so did King Robert. Yeah.
Yeah, and so did the one before Eris, whatever that guy's name was, apparently. But anyway,
was he killed though? I don't remember.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Trying to think of, but yeah, I just like the idea, at least to me, that we bring. It is brought up early in the episode that Tywin is 67, and how long is he going to be? Truly, because he's the power, and how long he's going to be there, and then the mention of Barristan, and sort of disregarding the. I know he was old, but it was stupid to do that. Yeah, we have the. So, Chooch, what do you think that Tywin meant by she must be dealt with? Can your little birds find their way into Marine? What do you think he's going to try? Or
no fucking idea. Unless they're gonna try to assassinate her again, but
yeah, that worked well the last time, but to see what happens there.
He's gonna invite her to come on over and talk. No.
Yeah. We have a wedding coming up. We'd like you to come to.
Cordially invited to
us. From there, we have one of the great scenes. Again, I think the greatest strength of this show is the one-on-one scenes. With two actors playing off each other, and you have the scene with Oberyn and Varys, and I want them to just be in the same room all the time, talking to each other.
Yeah. So here's the question.
Littlefinger in there.
Yeah. Here's the question: is Varys really the only one immune to Oberyn's charms in terms of just sexiness, or is he just faking it? Because he has this whole talk about oh, I don't desire anyone, and Oberyn's like, oh yeah, really, yeah, I don't know about that. So we just have to wonder: is Varys really immune to desire, or is he just saying that to kind of get over off guard?
Yeah, I thought it was the latter, and I think the reason I feel that way is that last little bit where he talks about, not having that desire allows me to freedom to pursue other things, and he's like, what? And he looks at the throne. Mm-hmm. And at least from his character, and you never know if Varys is being truthful, but before, when like talking to Littlefinger or talking to Ned or whatever, he always talks about he cares about the realm, and with Oberyn, he looks at the throne sort of like the power of the throne type thing, whereas you haven't gotten the idea before that he seeks to sit on the throne. So was he doing that just to sort of throw Oberyn off, to just keep him guessing as to how he pursues things or what?
Yeah, so, he seeks to protect the throne or to guide the throne. He is in the inner circle. He doesn't have to be king.
Right. But I just thought of the play on the whole what do you desire if it's not sex or that type of thing, and he looks at the throne. I just thought that was well played, even though you don't know really what his goal with that, but I liked it. So
as ever, and this is certainly true in the books too, Varys's real motivations are very mysterious. Mm-hmm. For someone who's doing so much, for us to still be so in the dark in terms of what his real end game is, it's frustrating in the best way.
Yep. And he has the whole conversation with him about Essos, and Oberyn apparently can tell just from his voice and the fact that he doesn't have an accent, that Varys is from Lys, and he says, I've trained myself not to have that accent, or I've gotten rid of my accent. He says, I have an ear for that too. So
I feel like half the stuff Varys said after that was just because he's pissed about Oberyn guessing where he's from.
I agree. And the idea that Oberyn has traveled because he didn't want to be just stuck in one place and and not have experiences in the world. And he's like, well, most of us aren't princes. And yeah, I just love that whole conversation. I could hear the two of them talk for hours. So.
Yeah, well, we're already, I think, all in the Oberyn fan club, but I will just say again that I am enormously pleased with how they are portraying one of my favorite characters from the books on the show.
Yep.
Sweet.
From there, we jump right into the trial, if I haven't missed anything. No. We have Jaime walking into the cell and Tyrion joking, let me guess, I've been pardoned. But and then they chain him up, and he's just like, yeah, really? And he says, well, it's father's orders, and we mustn't disappoint father. I like the walk into the throne room, the idea of someone yelling Kingslayer, and then you don't notice up to that point if Jaime is actually walking with him, because it's like they yell Kingslayer, and it's like, okay, if Jaime had been there, he might not have. The guy probably would not have yelled that if.
What I wanted was for someone in the crowd to go, "It's the Kingslayer brothers," and then Tyrion could turn to Jaime and say, "You see? It has a ring.
It's already a thing."
It's already trending on the Raven Network.
Yep. And they have I thought it was very well done. The whole Tommen excusing himself and recusing himself, and just he had an air of nobility that Joffrey certainly has never had, and he's only been king for however long it's been. And
this was a very minor note. But maybe it was half the way he was standing and half the outfit he was in. But he looked a little bit like he was standing like he had to poop. So it's a minor note. But if you watch that again or look at a still of him standing while he gives that speech, he's kind of sort of bent a little bit at the waist in a weird way.
That's right. Always on the wall for our continuous bowel coverage.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
that's why he had to recuse himself, really. Yeah, although, actually, that just reminds me of the meme I'm sure everybody's seen by now that takes the clip of Jaime pushing his way through a crowd to run after Joffrey when he was choking, but then it mixes that with the diarrhea medicine commercial that says, "Where will you be when your diarrhea returns?"
Oh boy! What the hell did I come back to, you guys?
Yeah, you missed all the conversation. Diarrhea conversation.
The trial.
I mean, I thought that, he looked uncomfortable, but then I was like, well, up until this point, Tyrion and Tommen were always close, at least, as much as we've seen them together. They had a, good relationship type thing, and now he's,
I mean, we got to remember, though, that, even though Tommen certainly had a difficult relationship with his brother, think who's going to have been filling his ear with all sorts of my Tyrion is an awful little troll and he killed your brother and he's going to kill you next because all he wants to do is make me miserable. I mean, so even if he doesn't believe all of it, it's got to have put some serious doubts in his mind as far as Tyrion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. I was just stating that some of his discomfort is sort of that, both of those sides. As I've known him since I was a baby, and he's always been kind to me and funny, and now here he is, and he supposedly killed my brother, and would kill me if I believed my mother, and just sort of that discomfort. But the him walking out and not even really looking at Tyrion, that was like the first little blow that I felt, was like, oh, poor Tyrion.
Yeah,
won't even talk to him.
The appetizer of
yes, exactly.
I actually have that in my notes as the heartbreak of Tommen walking past Tyrion. But I mean, if you were to look at it from Tommen's point of view, which is
not how you.
huh?
I'm sorry. I laughed, but I wasn't laughing at you, Viv. I was laughing that Mike McCauley in Q&A says, "My new expression for using the restroom. Excuse me, I need to recuse myself from the trial."
That I can't see that not working ever. That would always work. No, I was saying that first it's really hard for Tyrion because you want to see somebody give him a look of support, besides his one-handed brother,
Mm.
and so that was an extra blow. But I mean, Tommen's a little boy. How hard was it for him to stand there and not cry because he's really young in the books? I mean, they've aged this little guy quite a bit this season, but and they even had him standing, and they had the camera angles. That whole I think you're talking about how stiffly he was acting, like he was very.
Yeah, what I was saying is that he looked like a little bit like he had to poop.
Oh, okay. So all right, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the actor actually did a good job of being like, this is what it feels like to have to recuse yourself against your uncle's trial because you love him too much. You can't be. You know what I mean? That'd be hard as shit on anybody. I gotta go poop because this sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks. I thought the actor did a really good job.
Yeah, I agreed. It's kind of just a silly observation. I didn't really have any problems with the way he portrayed it.
But I was gonna say that George actually on the interview that PG told us about on Conan, he actually doesn't pronounce it Tommen. He pronounces it Tommen, like Tommen, like T-O-M-E, Tommen. And I was like,
well, what would he know?
Chooch and I want to now try and go out and dig up and see George's pronunciation of names versus the names as they're pronounced on the show. I'm just curious to see how many other names are
I don't think when he had his coronation last week, I don't think they said Tommen. Did they?
No, they say it different in the show.
The show calls him Tommen.
Yeah.
George was on the interview with Conan last night. He said Tommen.
So he just wanted
it differently than the show.
He just wanted to.
He's trolling everybody.
Yeah, he was just trying to rhyme it with Conan. I'm going to call all my characters with a soft O.
Always thinking PG. That's how you roll.
So we, after the king recuses himself, we have the Tywin sitting on the throne, which I thought was a good moment. Just him sitting back in the position of power that he has, and then he asks them, or he asks Tyrion, "So did you kill him?" And he's like, "No." And then he said, "Well, how do you think he died?" And he said, "Well, it's the pie." And he said, "So do you blame the bakers?" He's like, "Or the pigeons? Just leave me out of it." Loved it. But then we have Sir Meryn Trant being the first witness, enjoying his moment in the sun, finally able to get him back for threatening his life in the throne room that time with Bronn.
I think one of the most horrifying aspects of the trial was just realizing that all of these things that we thought Tyrion was so awesome and badass for all through the various seasons are all coming back to haunt him now. And he's not even able to, his father won't even let him talk to explain the context of all of those things. It's like a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty well done. That there, of course, people were lying in some cases, but that most of it was the truth, just out of context. And I thought that was all handled real well. So Meryn, doesn't talk about the fact that he was ripping off Sansa's clothes and punching her in the gut and that sort of stuff. And then after that, we have Pycelle with his laundry list of poisons. Finally getting him back again for Tyrion back again for imprisoning him unjustly in his eyes. And then we had Cersei, who throws his words back at him.
I like, of course it's Oberyn because we like Oberyn, but of course it's him that kind of just wants to kind of say, you mentioned he said the debt would be paid. The debt? What are you?
What's this debt?
Why am I having to be the only person who would ask such an obvious question?
Yeah. Yes. What exactly did you do to him to make him say the debt will be paid?
Unfortunately for Tyrion, it ultimately was a softball question, given that, I mean, it wasn't intended to be one, but Cersei absolutely had an answer prepared. So she almost said it that way so that someone would ask that question so that she could say it was the horse, you know?
Because she's like, I've got whores coming to testify.
Jamie even said it to Tywin, is that this is so obviously just, you know, a charade kind of a thing going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we at that scene yet?
Yeah, we're getting there in a second. I mean, we did it. We had the no. We're just. I was going to say that. Crap! I just lost my train of thought. He opened by being asked, did you do it? So you're like, okay, well, at least he'll get a chance to, state his side or whatever. And then, when Trant says what he says and he tries to say, well, you're not telling him the part where Joffrey had his crossbow out and pointing at Sansa and you were beating her, and he's just like, shut up, don't speak. Like, damn. And so it just went on from there. So, Varys was the last witness before the break in the trial.
Et tu, Varys?
Exactly, where he says, Tyrion said kings are dying like flies, and Joffrey better watch out. Kings are dropping like flies, and that it's like they had talked about this previously, of course, that Varys is like, I'm not gonna sacrifice myself just for you. If they ask me a question or if they ask me to do something, I'm going to do it. But he had to just throw that in there about, he was married to Sansa, maybe he was getting soft or supporting the Northern cause, and Tyrion's just like, damn, man, you didn't have to go there. You could have just told him what I said. You didn't have to, add on to it.
Except that it is also actually true. It's like it's not even a lie. I mean, Tyrion was softening to the Northern cause because of, or at the very least of, like, he was the one that questioned the Red Wedding, whether that was right to do, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly the, the context of when he said that. So, yeah, for Varys to bring it up like that is obviously, But at the same time, the thing is, Cersei was there when that happened too. So she knows that it's true. So he couldn't even pretend it didn't happen because she knows it did.
Right.
So now the bit where Tyrion reminds Varys of what he said after the Blackwater. That bit that I said earlier how I was a little annoyed that they had to show us that in the in the preview only to have Tyrion repeat the line verbatim. It's like, oh, well, we just want to make sure people know that Tyrion is right when he says that. But anyway, that part was nicely complex, I thought, just in terms of Varys basically saying, oh, I don't forget anything. That sort of, I mean, the layers of meaning there for, everyone else, it almost doesn't mean anything, but for Tyrion, it means it's like, I stand by what I said. It's not untrue, but I can't help you here.
Right. Yep. And then we do have the break in the trial. We have the scene with Tywin and Jaime, where Jaime gets played like a fucking fiddle.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Damn. That was just the look on Jaime's face when he's like, I'll do what you want if you don't kill Tyrion. He's like, okay.
Done. And then as soon as someone agrees that fast, you kind of go, wait a minute. Wait. What? No.
I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Oh.
So, Chooch, question for you.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just a quick question for Chooch. So that reaction, how Tywin played that scene, or did all that. So, do you think he had already decided this was what he was going to do with Tyrion, or do you think he sort of came up with that on the fly? What do you think he was?
Well, the note I took was Jaime speaks on Tyrion's behalf and gets what Tywin wants.
Yeah. I think that is an interesting idea that all along was he like, okay, I need this scapegoat. I need this to punish someone for the killing of Joffrey, whether he did it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Deep down, do you think that Tywin really thinks that Tyrion killed him, or he just needs a scapegoat?
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter.
I think he just needs a reason to kill Tyrion.
But that's my point, is if he does think I just need a scapegoat for this, and I'm Tyrion's my scapegoat.
Huzzah!
Does Tywin have this idea all along that he's going to be found guilty, but I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to send him to the wall because he'll be out of my life forever, but I won't kill a Lannister? Or do you think he came up with it on the fly of, okay, Jamie's standing here saying, if I don't kill Tyrion, he's going to do exactly what I want. Okay, I'll send him to the wall. I solve all my problems.
He's inscrutable to me to this. I can't tell on this instance.
Yeah.
He jumped at it so fast, it makes it seem like he plotted it all along. But
it seems premeditated.
He definitely wants Tyrion to go away where he can't cause more problems. He wants there to be somebody punished for Joffrey's murder to restore peace to the realm. People don't like it when a king's been killed. Nobody's been punished for it, unless it's an overthrow. And then, and oh my God, how long has he wanted, since the day Tyrion was born, he's wanted to kill him. I mean, there's just all like a beautiful gift wrapped up to him in a bow.
Yeah, see, the thing is, like, first, as far as what Tywin actually thinks happened, we have to remember that he is just predisposed to only ever see the worst parts and the worst aspects of Tyrion. He does not appreciate any of his virtues at all. And so I think that even though rationally, if he looked at if he was able to look at things objectively, he might conclude that there's some really fishy aspects of what's going on here. I think that he believes that Tyrion is not only capable of doing such a thing, but that, like, he had ample motive, he had opportunity, and he just thinks that he could have done it. And so he's so determined that, but is thinking he's guilty. So I think, though, that as far as Tywin's concerned, it's not like he had one outcome in mind and then changed his mind. I think what it is the plan all the way along is, I'm going to make Jaime feel so sorry for Tyrion that he will come back in order to have Tyrion get spared. And so he is willing to let Tyrion be spared in exchange for what Jaime's doing, and I think he deliberately made the trial even more unfair than he might have otherwise, with the express purpose of trying to push Jaime in that direction.
Yeah, I sort of feel like it was collateral, that I don't think that he consciously was trying to push Jaime into this, but the idea presented himself. He may have already had the idea in his head of, getting Tyrion sent to the wall, and the moment that Jaime opened his mouth, he just jumped on it and was like,
really? I thought it seemed like he had absolutely thought this through, and it doesn't mean he necessarily knew for a fact it was going to happen, and therefore it was all orchestrated like a puppet master. But I think it was definitely one of the things that was a possibility that he had thought through and was absolutely ready to pounce on it. It was not like he was surprised and said, "Oh, well, that's a good idea." I think that it was definitely something he was hoping to have happen.
Yeah.
I think it
all
was
the angles.
Yeah.
For me, the more interesting aspect of it was when Jamie said, you know, the last command the Mad King gave me was to bring him your head. Did I save your life just for you to murder my brother? And that just kind of like set the tone for everything. You knew exactly where he stood on the issue and how wrong he thought it was. And so whether Tywin had it planned or whether he leapt at the thought or whatever it was, I don't know. We might find out next week. We might never know. But it was one of those things that I think from Jamie's response to it, the look on his face, and like you said, the double take he took, and it's almost like, I guess, if you were selling a car and you suddenly realize, oh shit, I should have asked for more money, you know, as a trade. But the look on his face was part that and part absolute heartbreak that I can't believe that he's going to take this deal and screw Tyrion because yes, he's alive, but he's at the wall. Screw Jamie because he knows he's going to be miserable and does not, and walked away from the family, everything, because he doesn't want to be at Casterly Rock that badly. And he's still willing to make that trade. And it's just like, it was the heartbreak on his face, just on so many levels. He's a way better actor than I was giving him credit for in season 1. He truly is.
And the wall's probably a death sentence anyways, because
how long
are they going to treat a dwarf?
How long is Tyrion going to last? Yeah, there.
Well, you know, they'll make him a steward, right?
Yeah.
Although none of the Night's Watch is doing especially well at the moment.
Yeah.
But I just I think part of Jamie's heartbreak, especially after Tywin accepts the deal, is, you know, it's a bit like you were saying, Viv, with the used car. What I was thinking is, it's like you're selling something on eBay and you think really hard about what to make the price, and then you set the buy it now price like really, really high, and then someone buys it at that price just immediately, and you're like, oh, that was maybe not.
Yeah. I should have felt out the room a little first.
Yeah, but I think part of what Jamie was feeling after Tywin agreed so fast, even if it's not about Tywin having planned it ahead, I think it's more a matter of Tywin really doesn't even care. It's not about finding justice for Joffrey in Tywin's mind. It's not even about punishing Tyrion. It's about damage control. And that's really all Tywin cares about.
The Lannister dynasty.
Even though Jamie comes in planning to lobby on exactly that message, just realizing exactly how far Tywin takes it was just another layer of disappointment.
Yes, my favorite line of the whole thing being, you know, your 1,000-year dynasty, who's going to be, you know, continuing that? Lancel Lannister or one of those other nephews, can't remember their names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike McCauley says, I don't believe Tywin thinks Tyrion killed Joffrey, just a reason to banish him out of his life. The reason that I suspect that Tywin does actually... He is allowing himself to think that it might have been Tyrion at very least. And the reason I think that is because if he really thought that it wasn't Tyrion, why would he not be doing something about finding out if there's an additional threat? You know, like if someone killed Joffrey, is Tommen safe? You know, like I think he would want to know who did it and why, and I think he would be taking steps to actually find that out if
especially
if
with
he didn't think Tyrion did it.
Prince Oberyn's in town and the king, a Lannister, dies. You would think he would
you know
be
what?
Interested, but
you know what it also might be is that for as far as Tywin's concerned, out of all the people who might have done it, Tyrion is the only one that it's safe to accuse because everybody hates him already anyway.
Right.
Everyone else, even if he's right to accuse them.
I also agree with what you said about damage control, but almost the other way around. It's the idea is I've got to go all in with Tyrion because that's what Cersei, you know, believes, and we, you know, for damage control reasons, because if I just spread a net trying to find other people, it's just, you know, going to make things worse. Right. Joffrey was a dick. He was killed, yes, but doesn't necessarily mean that someone's going to try to kill Tommen as well, you know.
Right.
Type
I mean,
thing.
that's the thing too that I was just even talking about it. I sort of convinced myself differently, which was just this idea that hypothetically, let's imagine that Tywin has found out without a shadow of a doubt that Olenna did it. Let's say he just found that out through some spy or something or other.
Olenna? What do you mean?
Well, so just hypothetically, let's say he finds that out. They can't afford to go to war with the Tyrells.
Yeah.
They can't. They would lose.
They can afford to make fun of Mace all the time, though.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Now, let's say that it's Oberyn. They can't afford to go to war with Dorne.
Yep.
They can't afford to go to war with anybody new at this point. The only possible person, but someone's got to pay, because otherwise it seems like, oh, well, you can kill a Lannister and go get away with it. So someone's got to pay, and Tyrion is the only person that he can make pay without any other repercussions. And I think that that's actually more important to him than knowing for sure who really did it.
Well, Tyrion said it. He's on trial for being a dwarf. I mean, he's a dwarf whose birth caused the death of his mother. His entire life has been built around those facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So let's get back to the trial. We have what happens next? Sorry, I'm.
Well, we come back and.
Was Shay the last? Was there?
Yeah, I
anybody
don't think
else
we had
on?
anyone else after that.
Jaime tells Tyrion the plan.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Make
Jaime,
sure that when you're found guilty, you ask for mercy because they're going to send you to the wall. And
exactly.
Tyrion expresses doubt that he can even trust his father to keep his word or even if he could trust Tywin, he doesn't trust Cersei to not just hire someone to kill him on the road.
Mm-hmm. But he's So Jaime's last words were, "Do you trust me?" Tyrion gives him the nod of, "Yes, I do trust you."
Mm-hmm.
But before that can happen, Shay is walked in, and yeah, got that right, Hooka.
See, I told you Bronn was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So yes, that is one of the questions I was ready to ask you, Chooch. Is what do you think that means with Bronn?
I think it could be he did get her on a ship and they just sent somebody out and brought her back. But I suspect, somebody paid a little more and got him to do what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Was he shown during the trial?
No.
No. We haven't seen him since they sent Pod off with Brienne.
Brienne.
Yes. So Shay comes in. His worst nightmare. She's pretty much first she outright lies, saying whether it was Cersei or whoever told her to say, saying that Sansa and Tyrion planned it, gave other statements supporting that, and then as you see Tyrion breaking down, she comes back with he's like, "Don't do this," and she's like, "You said it, I'm a whore." He is broken, and whatever plans were had between Jaime and Tywin, it didn't matter. So he says all the things that partly we wanted him to say, but then also he couldn't say in this situation, and So what did you think, Viv?
I thought it was really, really fucked up, but not. Well, okay. Let me ask Chooch. What do you think of Shay at this point? Do you think that she ever loved him and she's just doing what she has to do to survive? Do you think that she is totally selling him out for whatever cash that Cersei is willing to hand over? What do you think, Chooch?
Woman scorned. Yeah. She thinks that he paid her off to make her leave, and fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the question is,
she looked him
does
dead in the
she?
eye, man. I'm a whore.
Yeah, but does she think that does she realize even deep down that he did it to try to save her, and he said those things to try to, Nymeria throwing rocks at Nymeria to chase her away, or does she actually think, oh, you never really loved me, you just thought I was a whore, and you sent me away, so now I'm a woman scorned, and I've got you back now. Besides the fact they would have killed me if I wasn't doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like she has a choice.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess I don't want to. If Chooch had thoughts on that.
No, I don't have anything else really.
Well, so here, my thinking. First of all, I'll go ahead and say that even though certainly we've seen it now happen, and so in hindsight, this wasn't very rational. But given that they had made Shay's character somewhat different in the show than she was in the books, just in terms of personality, I kind of realized as this scene started to happen that I had been holding out some kind of hope that this was going to play out differently, and then it didn't, and it was kind of extra heartbreaking as a result.
Right.
I think that there was a couple of layers of it, in the sense that I think almost certainly she was not given much of a choice in the matter. So she, even if she might have been willing to just say, oh, fine, I'll leave, and then they brought her back against her will, but now that she's going to be forced to testify anyway, the thing is, I think that she knows exactly that that's why he said those things. But remember that this wasn't a question of, she didn't want to stay just to be with him. That was not her perfect outcome. Mm-hmm. She had more than once said, this is a terrible place for us. Let's go somewhere else together. Now, he had some valid points for why he didn't want to do that, but as far as she's concerned, this is a question of, I did love you. I wanted to run away from this with you so we could find a place where we could actually be together without being under threat of death all the time. And instead, you said incredibly hurtful things to me in your decision to choose this place and these people over me. Well, guess what? This is what you get. And I think that's what she's thinking. Now, I'm not supporting her actions. I think they're still awful, especially since she really goes out of her way to twist the knife. And I mean, so I think that what she's doing is absolutely 100% the wrong thing. But just as far as why she feels so vindictive, I think it's really because she feels that he chose this life over her and then forced the issue by saying some really mean things. Now, she knows, I think. It's not like she didn't realize that that's why he was throwing rocks, but it was more a matter of, she's thinking, I'm coming into this thinking we're a relationship of adults. I recognize that this has been a troubled situation, and I have proposed a solution that I think is good, and you rejected it, and then you finally just take it upon yourself to decide for me that it's over, and you say all of those hurtful things to me to make it happen. You are choosing this life of deception and backstabbing and lies and greed. You're choosing that over running away with me. And so I think that that's why she feels so vindictive about it.
So
now
you believe, so everybody believes that Shay was sincere and that she wasn't just playing the I love you so much, let's run away card. Do you think she really would have run away?
Chooch, I absolutely think? Well, I do.
I wanted to ask Chooch first.
Yeah.
You think
I really think so.
You think she was sincere? Christiana does.
I do. Now
PG?
I will say that in the books, I don't think she would have been.
Right. PG.
What was the question? Sorry. I was looking for a photo for a joke. I'm gonna.
No, it's I was just asking if everybody thought that Shay was sincere when she was saying let's run away together.
Oh yeah. I think she was really sincere. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Christiana.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I think I've kind of made my point, which is just to say that I think Tyrion's mistake, really, in all this was that he recognized that this choice, he was going to have to make this choice way earlier than he actually made it, but because he loved her, he put it off for way too long, and he toyed around with sort of, maybe I should send her away, or I can tell her she's allowed to go and it won't hurt my feelings, maybe I can offer, but he didn't actually, pull the trigger, so to speak, because he loved her, even knowing that with every passing day it was just going to get harder and harder, until the point where the only way to break it off was to just really, really hurt her bad. And I think it's a completely understandable way to act for him, even at the same time that I think in hindsight we can see it as a mistake, that if he was not prepared to leave with her, he should have sent her away much sooner instead of waiting until it was so desperate that he had to make it like that. Because the thing is, remember when Varys approached her with the money?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, like, if Tyrion wants me to leave, he can say so himself. Like, he had opportunities before to tell her to go where it probably wouldn't have been quite so painful.
I don't even know that I think that Tyrion was behind that. I think Varys did that. I think he knows that Ross was...
No. I'm not saying he did it. I'm saying that was an opportunity he could have taken. Because remember, there was the argument later where she's saying, when you sent him with your diamonds, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I think he had opportunities that he could have taken and didn't to send her away sooner. And I don't blame him, so to speak, for not doing it, because I understand why he didn't. But I think in hindsight, because he delayed it so long, there was no way to end it without making it very painful, and that's why she's mad.
Well, the timing was twice as bad with Sansa in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I think that jealousy is genuine. Why would she drag her into it?
Right.
To make it a tighter case.
Well, and she made him sound even worse. She made it sound like he was trying to get into her bed and Sansa wouldn't let him, rather than he was being gentlemanly about it and waiting until she was ready, just waiting to pounce on her. Mm-hmm. But I think also one thing to consider is that having lost Roz the way we did, and Varys had a friendship with her, and he's got a friendship with Shay, and he's been telling Tyrion to send her away, and he hasn't, and then Varys hands her a bag of diamonds, and she says no, and Tyrion doesn't acknowledge that he had anything to do with it, and like Christiana said, sends him away too late. I think that's one of the reasons that Varys is so fucking cold to him during the trial.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you did this. You didn't listen to me. I told you what you needed to do, and you didn't listen, so go fuck yourself. Good luck.
Sheriff Bullock in the Q&A says, Shay, I know your feelings are hurt, but overreact much?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me restate, too. I don't think that what she did was okay. I think it was absolutely awful. But at the same time, I think that, is anybody shocked that Shay is acting a little petty about this?
Yeah.
No. I mean, it has always been in her nature that she has been hot-blooded and overreacts to things. That has always been the way she is. And, it would be foolish to expect any other reaction from her, really. I mean, he was hoping she would just go away, and maybe she would have if not called back. But I think that's just the problem, is that Tyrion did make a choice. He sent her away instead of running off with her. And now she's the woman scorned, and she's mad. And I'm not saying it's okay that she is acting reasonably or responsibly. I'm just saying I think that the emotions behind what she's doing are comprehensible. They're not just random or arbitrary.
Mm-hmm. Viv, you were reading Mike's comment. Were you doing that?
Mike McCauley commented that he rejected the wrong bitch.
Sheriff Bullock says, I had wondered how they'd reconcile Shay's betrayal with the way she was portrayed throughout the book series, how they'd make it convincing, and I don't think they did. Maybe next episode they'll clarify her motivations. Yeah, I think they have justified her motivations based on what we've been talking about, but yeah, it did come across
money and revenge.
Yeah, the idea of whether she's doing it just to save her own life or that she's actually getting some sort of, she has a feeling I'm getting back at you as well, or a combination of both, is still something they could do more with next episode if they...
Right. Like, I don't think they would have gotten to that in this episode because the whole point was she was a surprise, right? You know, right. It's this gut punch.
Yep.
Because the thing is, too, it's not even just that she's testifying against him. Because she could have just said, yes, I overheard him plotting with Sansa, so I know that he was trying to do it. That could have been all she said. But then for her to take all of these really personal little details about their relationship and twist them to make him seem monstrous and like he was abusing her and how she never really loved him at all, and to just twist all of these things, it was just so cruel. And could not have possibly been because she was being paid for it. Like, it would be, or threatened even. Like, I think it would be one thing if Cersei pulled her off this ship and said, look, I'm going to have you killed unless you testify against Tyrion, and she felt she had no choice. She wouldn't have had to say all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
She could have had a look that says, like, I'm sorry, but I had to. A little bit more like Varys did, right? She could have, if that's how she felt. But I think that there's a part of her that's saying, I'm getting back at you for what you did to me.
Yeah, and one of the things I do like about the show, notwithstanding the editorial foreshadowing like we talked about in the where they share the reading of the letter and the reading of the letter, but the idea of Shay talking about these things and sort of calling back to last episode where Lysa was ranting about all the nasty things that whores do and with Peter, and then Shay comes back with, yep, I'm a whore, and this is all the things that I've done with Tyrion and that sort of thing. So yes, but it does break our hero, and he says all the things that he have been welling up in him for years and his whole life, and again, the idea that he saved everyone and no one can even acknowledge it or understand it, or all of that, and he lashes out at them for laughing and all of that, and saying, if I had enough poison I would use it all on you fuckers. And it was marvelous. They don't need to have an Emmy vote, I don't think, unless Kevin Spacey has something to say about it with House of Cards. But anyway,
we're watching that too. Wow.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I haven't been able to find it. You haven't gotten to it, but the closing moment of season 2, there's just this image of him.
Stop.
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm
Stop.
not spoiling anything.
Stop.
Shut up.
Stop.
Yeah. Shut your mouth. Shut your eye hole.
PG, you're spoiling that there's a last episode.
Yes, I'm spoiling.
He's in it.
PG, I was just fucking with you.
And there's a shot
with you. Please.
There's a shot of him standing at a desk.
Tell me.
I am. You should shut up.
You are so easy. Go ahead. I'll be quiet. Look, I'm muting
standing
myself
at a
again.
desk.
So it's like a mahogany desk? Or is it?
A mahogany desk, yes, and he's standing over it with his hands, and he has this look of power, and I wanted to take Littlefinger and paste it on his head, to Photoshop it and have it, but I haven't done it yet. Anyway, so that was my job. So.
Thanks for shouting "shut up" at me for that story.
I'm glad that you got that. I'm sure it went into the red for our audio engineer.
You totally peeked out, dude.
It seemed like Tyrion immediately went to his eerie strategy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to confess to a bunch of other shit.
Well, it worked.
And then call Mortal Kombat.
Wait a minute. But was anybody like me disappointed that we didn't have any of the masturbating into my sister's soup analogies? There was none of that. I mean, we had Shay talking about licking him, but I mean, he just went for the straight, I hate all you people, I wish I'd let you die, trial by combat.
I know. It wasn't. It was much more venomous.
Yeah. My God.
Which, obviously, he was broken as opposed to at the Uri where he's just like, fuck you people, what the hell's going on here? I didn't do nothing. Killing John Aaron. I didn't kill no John Aaron.
Well, and then at the time, too, I think that, when he was saying trial by combat at the time, when he first proposed that, it was because he was going to choose Jaime as his champion, and then is like, I'm buying time for Jaime to come and get me out of this.
Yeah. So, Chooch, who do you think will stand for Tyrion?
Well, I want to say real quick.
He's got a one-handed brother.
Really quick. Nutty did have a note in her email.
Mortal Kombat. Sorry. Nicole just posted Mortal Kombat on me.
Oh, God.
Nutty felt like Tyrion's outburst in the court was a lot more angry and bitter, less sympathetic than the books. Then she went back and read his confession and realized while it may not be word for word, the emotion was accurate.
Wow.
There's that. So the combat.
That's one of the things I was going to go back and read, but now I don't have to.
Well, and she actually linked to the excerpt from the book.
Sweet.
First of all, Tyrion says, let the gods decide. But that smirk he gives Tywin was like, didn't see that coming, did you, Dad? It was
that was my note. Was the camera closes in on Tyrion, then on Tywin. Tyrion's face just says, "Fuck you, Dad."
Yeah.
I would kind of like to see Bronn versus Jaime, but not really, because that means one of them would likely die. I'd also love to see Prince Oberyn versus the Mountain.
Ooh.
I think that could be in the realm of possibility. Politics could happen, and that could. I don't know who it would really be, but I would love to see that fight.
Yeah, my friend Kevin, who hasn't read the books, I was talking to him today, and he was just like, "Well, I know Jaime is going to be on be one of the champions, but I just don't know who yet." But he only has the one
for Jaime, right? Like, yeah. I mean, even though obviously he has put his neck out figuratively to protect Tyrion, to say, he'll give in to what his father wants and go to Casterly Rock and do all of that. But is he prepared? Because think about what it would mean for him to volunteer to be Tyrion's champion. Like,
who,
that
Bronn or Jaime?
Jaime. Bronn at this point is either bought off or he's not, and if he is, then he wouldn't care. I don't think.
Well, but he's been giving Jaime sword lessons too. Don't forget.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really would be interesting, like Chooch said, to see the two of them square off.
Oh yeah, no, I believe that. I'm just saying that. Think about what now. As far as Jaime, just the decision that he would have to make about, wanting to save Tyrion, but talk about burning bridges. Like, that would be a pretty extreme choice. It would be he would probably have to just give up everything.
Yeah.
Being Kingsguard, being a Lannister. I mean, at this point.
besides the fact that you would be taking the side of your brother over the idea, even though you haven't admitted it, of course, publicly, over the honor of your son.
Well, not to mention the fact that he has only one hand and might not be very good at being a champion at this point.
Yes. But yes, the idea of Bronn is interesting. As we've said, we don't know if he's been bought off or in the Shay arena. Did he put her on the boat and then Shay was grabbed after the fact because he like they said, Podrick said earlier in one of the episodes, Bronn is being followed because he's suspected. He's a cutthroat, etc. So. Was he followed? And even though Bronn says in that one conversation, "Oh, if somebody followed me, they'd be dead."
Yeah. Well, the thing to remember is that what the book readers think that we know, fuck all, man. They're doing shit that is not in the books. They're writing new stuff. Oh, yeah. They're changing things, as we found out with the Red Wedding. There's all kinds of stuff changing, from little details like a hairnet turning into a necklace, or Sir Pounce coming back and actually being a topic of conversation on Conan O'Brien last night. It's just, I thought Nutty would have enjoyed that if she saw the interview. But yeah, it's definitely difficult because any skill that he's gotten has been from training with Bronn.
Sheriff Bullock says maybe Katniss Everdeen will volunteer.
There you go. Maybe so.
Tribute.
That would be badass.
Yeah, but like we said, we've got Bronn being much more in this series than he was in the book at this point, as far as training Jaime. So who knows what they might change or do with his character for the future. In the book, again, we've talked before about Sir Kevin not being on the show after last season. Like one of the things that was changed was it was Sir Kevin that talked to Tyrion about the whole. Out of being sent to the wall and do this, admit to it.
Yeah, I'll confess that's one of my biggest surprises from the book, just because the role that Kevin played throughout the trial in the book was so significant that I'm really kind of surprised that they changed it that much, especially given that we have had Kevin in the show before. It's not like they would have to be introducing a brand new character.
I really haven't missed Kevin, honestly. I think the stuff that he relayed, I'm fine with the way they.
Well, no, yeah, I'm not complaining exactly. I guess I'm just surprised because I wouldn't have guessed that they would change it that significantly, just because in the books the whole thing was that no one in the family wanted to even have the appearance that they were willing to speak to him, much less give him any advice or counsel in any way.
Yeah.
And Kevin was really the only one to kind of say, "Come on, you guys, we've got to talk to him. We're going to have a trial."
Right.
And so just because in the books there was that period, there was a significant period where Kevin was really the only one who was even really willing to talk to Tyrion, and so to remove him as that character. Now, I like how it works, giving Jaime the opportunity to do that instead. I think that's actually probably better. I was just surprised by the significance of that change.
Yep. And we've said before, Kevin plays more of a role in some of the later books, and not having him show up here in this instance where he was more prominently featured in the books makes you think, obviously, well, if they're not doing it here, maybe he's not going to be there, and if he's not there, then what are they going to do?
Don't forget that
it just brings up the question that they've done before is, okay, they're not featuring a character in a way, whether it's for time purposes or whatnot.
Right.
If they bring him back later for things that are important in the book series, does it lessen the impact of, and you got people saying, oh, who is this? Why is he? Who is he? Or will they recast him because they haven't had the actor on the show in 2 seasons, and that sort of thing. So it just begs those questions when there are these changes. But
how about that crestfallen look on Jaime's face when he sees that his plan with Tywin has totally fallen apart, and it's just like it's almost like he's standing there with a wooden sword again, and it's like, I'm trying to save you and you're fucking it up, you know. Like he tried to save the realm, everybody hates him. Every time he tries to do something positive, he gets treated like he's doing something wrong, and it's just it's almost like we were so close, Tyrion. I would have come and hung out with you at the wall. It would have been awesome.
Yep, and I definitely think we'll get some of that next episode. It looks like they're going to have a scene together where Jaime can say, "What the fuck were you thinking?"
Dude. Well, I think that I think Tyrion's just going to be able to say exactly what we know was going on, and not even getting into the idea of what was going on with Shay, but just this idea of, for them to pull something like that for me, on me, like, this is, because I don't, it's not like in the Eyrie where he actually had a plan to get out of this. In this one, I don't think he has any idea. I think his whole goal in demanding trial by combat is not to win. It's to screw up Tywin's plan.
Clearly. Oh, right. He said it. He totally. I think that's it. He's having the only fun that he can have facing his own death, and that is pissing off his dad. And he can't get his hands on any whores right now.
It's like, well, according to you, I've always ruined everything for you. Well, I'm going to do it one more time before I go.
Yeah.
Agreed. Mike McCauley talking about the moon door. The last time we had a trial by combat, kind of bummed that there won't be a moon door this time. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Yeah, we got a couple more comments about Shay, but we'll they're it's not approaching spoilers, but we don't want to say anything further about future Shay things that.
Right. Well, I'm sure we'll see more fallout from that. Like I said, this episode is clearly supposed to be the shock, and and we don't have any time for fallout yet. So.
Let's have the awe. So, yeah, the
see, that just makes me think that there ought to be shock and aw.
So that ended the episode with the declaration, the look of "fuck you, Dad," and we go off for next episode. I do not have the name of the episode.
It is Mockingbird.
Thank you, Mockingbird. Maybe Katniss will show up. Yes, but yeah, Mockingbird. That would be something with Peter, right? Maybe.
Yeah, Littlefinger. That's his sigil anyway.
That's his sigil.
And the preview is Lysa going batshit on Sansa again. So.
Yeah, we get more Lysa, more fucking crazy Lysa. So that's always a good thing in my book. We don't have Joffrey anymore. At least we can have crazy batshit Lysa.
And the trend seems to be having her titties covered, so I'm down.
Aww.
Well, he doesn't have the milk mustache anymore. It'd be kind of fuzzy anyways.
Yeah, maybe they'll bring that back. But let's see. Last week we had a contest. We did not have too many entrants, though. We only had me and Chooch and Viv. I
didn't. I entered it, didn't I?
Did you?
I did.
I will look. I will hold off.
I thought I did. Maybe it didn't submit or something.
I did not get an email from you or Nutty.
Boo! I did it. I did it on Sunday.
Well, I'll say the numbers and say who won, and then you can say, well, that's what I guessed, or you were off. So,
well, if you don't have my results,
I'm just saying.
What I'll say.
Yeah, I wonder what you say. Will you be honest, or will you just say?
Honestly, I don't actually remember what.
Yeah, that would actually be it.
Trial by the gods combat.
Swear by the god. Trial by the god. So the contest was the number of references, or number of references to poison. The second part of the question, or the second question for the contest, was the sightings or mentions of the word gold. So.
That was a good contest for this week.
It was.
There was lots of mentions of both of those things.
But how many coins were in that satchel, PG? Because I know you counted each one.
I said sightings of gold would be a single thing. It didn't matter how many gold pieces.
Because I read your description pretty.
I don't care about my description.
What about
said on the fucking show?
Take a shot. Calm down. Fireball. It's okay. I'm fucking around. Go ahead with your count.
This is what I did because I'm the grump and I run the contest now. You have no say in this.
I just fuck with you. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Fucking with you. So we had, for poison, we actually had 5 mentions of the word poison. The reason I did not count his entire list of things, because some of those were not poison, unless maybe you overdosed on something, it could cause a poisonous effect, but I used the word poison. So the number of first gold was, there was actually 3 uses of the word gold, 2 by Davos, 1 by Tycho or whatever, going back and forth, or maybe it was Stannis, but there was 3 between them, and then the 1 sighting of gold being the actual gold that Davos gave to Salador. Poison, we had 5 uses of the word poison, mostly by Pycelle, one though by 1 each by poison, by poison. 1 each by Oberyn and Tywin. So 4 and 5 is what I had. 4 gold, 5 poison. Our winner for our fans would be Nicole, because she's the only one who entered. So she went over on gold. She had 5 instead of 4, but that was very close. And then she had 2 gold, so she wins on that. For the 3 of us that did ours, we had I had 6 gold, 4 poison. Diana, no. What? Why'd you send your real name when you submitted, by the way? Viv, excuse me, as I read your name that we never did. You did. It came through as that. 7 gold and 7 poison.
I blame my nephew's graduation. That's all that was going on.
That's actually what I voted too. I think I did 7 and 7.
7.
If I remember correctly.
And then Chooch had 3 gold and 6 poison. So by that count, I win, I think. So because I had 6 gold, which was 2 above, 5 gold. No. Oh, that was Nicole. That was Nicole.
I said that every time I won for the previous 3 seasons.
Poison, 5. So
I know I lost. Over. I just went by
you were over.
Anyways.
Yes. So I was over on gold. Chooch won on gold. I won on poison. So there we go. Split win. Right unless of course Nutty did, and I didn't get the email, and then we'll have.
She said she didn't.
Thank you for counting and doing the math. I know the hell that is that job, and I'm glad it's not mine.
And I fully admit, I watched the episode and watched the closed captions, and that's what I counted. But if I missed something, somebody can point it out, and we'll readjust. But so next week, what do we want to do for next week? I think we should do deaths because of what was shown in the previews. It looks like, maybe not war, but there will be some deaths going on. So
yeah.
Let's do deaths as one. What was the other? What else is going on? We have
thought I sent an email. Maybe it's some drafts.
But we have bat shit crazy.
You sound like me now, Jesus.
Bat shit crazy Lysa. What can we do with her?
They can be throwing around the word champion if they're gonna have to be choosing a champion.
Champion. Any ideas, Christiana?
Oh wait,
I don't know. Champion sounds okay to me. Do we want to just say like uses of the word champion?
Okay, uses of the word champion and deaths. Good for me. Good enough for me.
Works for me.
Works for me. All that good stuff. So I will do that. Yes, so for those who are watching or watch after the fact or listen, if you go to specficmedia.com, look at any of the current episode posts. There is a link to the survey, as it was called. If you go up to the top menu and go to Beyond the Wall, there is a description and a link to the survey as well, contest survey, and you can submit. It'll send me an email, and we'll talk about it next time on the show. And if you're still around, again, Sunday night after the show, 10:15 at the latest, we will be on Google Hangout and talk about Episode 7, Mockingbird, and then we will not have a regular show next Wednesday because the following Sunday at 9 p.m. at Balticon we will have our live show. And if you want to submit any sort of questions that we will do during the live show, you can send to btw@specficmedia.com or post on the YouTube page or the website, etc. I will see those and collect them for our live show. I guess that's about it. Was there anything else? Oh, ratings! I know that Nutty sent her rating with her email. What was that?
Oh, shit.
8 out of 10 line whores.
Oh, damn. Wow.
Well, that was actually a rating that Tyrion used in the episode. He was saying he was more satisfied by Joffrey's than 1,000 lying horse.
Yeah.
So it's a legit rating scale. We've seen it used before.
Okay. Viv, do you have a rating?
I think I'm going to have to go with 10 out of 10 crispy goats.
That's good.
I just really loved the episode, and I think the characters really brought it, and the CGI was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was a great episode.
That was one of mine, only I had 8 dragon snacks.
Snacks. As the dragon was actually flying away with the still on fire goat, it was actually bleeding like,
oh, sad.
Chooch, so what is...
Just like the old gypsy
woman said! So I had the dragon one. I'm going to go with 8.5 out of 10 stirring speeches.
There you go.
Every other scene we had.
Yeah, Yara's and, yeah.
Christiana.
Ramsey's creepy bath.
I'm going to go 10 out of 10 Oberyn is sexy.
Oh. Oberyn is 10 out of 10, that's for sure. And he had a lot of screen time this episode.
I will go with... Have I ever given a 10 to any episode? I don't think I have. And I am not giving one now.
You're such a tease.
This was my favorite episode ever of the show.
Wow.
Even with the stuff at the Dreadfort, which bothered me greatly. I just thought... Let me finish my 9.5 out of 10 longing glances at the Iron Throne.
Nice.
One thing I just want to say after seeing this episode, and we've said it before, but it just really became so clear that if Peter Dinklage wasn't an actor and wasn't in this part,
my God,
this show would be nothing because he is so damn good.
He is.
And and I'm not trying to disparage the acting talents of anybody else that's out there that is of his size, but the idea that he is this good, he defines what makes the show great, in almost every respect, and the show would be so much diminished if he wasn't part of it. So I just
Well,
I watched The Station Agent.
Isn't it
my
good?
God!
It's now on Netflix.
It's great. Before I forget,
so the movie we were just fawning over is The Station Agent. Peter Dinklage is in it. If you haven't seen it, you must.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic character-driven story.
Yes.
It'll be interesting, actually, though, I would imagine, for anyone to go, well, and I guess that's how you guys experienced it, but to go back and watch that already knowing how great Peter Dinklage is. Because for me, that was the movie I discovered him in. I hadn't seen him in anything before that.
I was one of the haters about the series until they cast Peter Dinklage. When they cast Peter Dinklage as Tyrion is when I said, ooh, I'm going to have to fucking watch this. Because I'd seen him on some other stuff before that. He was in Elf. He was in He was in a couple of sitcoms,
Oh,
and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
able
Well,
to play
like,
really
so
sexy characters. He had like a really broad range.
I did know about him at that point. Like, I had seen Station Agent before they started doing casting rumors, but I hadn't seen Peter Dinklage in anything before I saw Station Agent. But so because I didn't know about him, and I heard about so I heard that the show was being made, and I had not yet read any of the books, and so I decided to read book 1 in preparation for the show, and then read 2, 3, 4 immediately.
Yes, we know the pain.
But so as I'm reading the book 1 while the show is in production, I'm reading about Tyrion and going, well, they got to cast Peter Dinklage, right? I mean, how could they not? And sure enough, they did, and I was like, well done, guys.
All right, let me jump into the Q&A. We've got Sheriff Bullock saying automatic minus 2-point deduction for Reigns of Castamere. It's a 7.5 out of 10, needing to use the loo.
I actually didn't mind Reigns of Castamere this time because I felt like they subverted it a little bit because Tyrion's gonna try to
Tyrion, fuck you moment.
Tyrion's gonna try to burn the whole thing down. So
He's gonna try to burn down the Lannisters.
Yeah, so maybe it's so I didn't mind it as much this time. So.
Yeah, Nutty says I give Christiana's rating 10 out of 10. Oberyn is sexy, so she's rating your rating.
So we're at exponentials now, right? We're at like 100 on a scale of 1 to 10. He's 100, or is it 20?
Yeah, let me get through the rest of these.
Oberyn.
Nutty is asking what our she had to leave or something. What was everybody's rating? Mine was 9.5 out of 10. Christiana was 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I was Chooch 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Viv was 10 out of 10. Chooch was
8.5
out of 10. So I have not hit 10 yet, although this was my favorite episode. Maybe. Hopefully get one. I know which one could get a 10.
Oh my God.
Let's see.
Evil. So glad it's on camera.
The final scene brought this week's rating from 6 to 8 out of 10, says Mike Macaulay. Raises it from 6 to 8 out of 10. Fucked over dwarves. Thank you. That was not hard, not easy to say.
We got pissed off whores and
7 out of 10. Nicole, very negative. 7 out of 10. Very pissed off whores.
Very effectively pissed off whores.
Responding to an earlier thing, Sheriff Bullock says the awe is Sir Pounce.
Yeah.
Sheriff, every time this is nutty. Sheriff, every time I heard the song, I thought of Chooch Rage Against the song. Chooch's Rage.
Play something else!
I thought she was going to say Rage Against the Machine. I was trying to figure out what was going on.
Aww.
And Nicole says, LOL, the one time I enter, I win by default. So, yes.
I think there's a lesson to be learned there, Nicole.
Yeah.
Gotta play the play.
And if Tim plays too, then that doubles your chances.
Well, she doesn't. She wants to. Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't.
Either way, it's going to be in their house.
Stays in the family, so to speak. But yeah. I will close with this. There was a thing on BuzzFeed, an article where it has like some, whatever number of things about Game of Thrones that will blow your mind. One of which was that the lady that plays Shay was a porn star, which I didn't know, which sounds like something I should have known.
I was going to say,
and yes, Chooch, I went down that rabbit hole, and she had a nose job, let's just say.
Actually, related to that,
wow.
Am I the only one that thought it was really weird that the way they did the makeup on Shay's nose when she was testifying?
Yeah, she looked really weird. I don't know what, or her nose looked
when I watched it
really
the second
strange.
time, I was looking carefully. They put like a darker colored makeup just on her nose.
Yeah, I don't know if they were trying
I don't know what's going on there.
Show that she had been struck
dark sided,
or so. My joke that I was going to do for people that can see is that the joke was going to be instead of trial by trial by combat, Tyrion should have requested trial by doo-wop. The joke being that Jerome Flynn, who plays Bronn, was in a doo-wop band in the 90s.
That is not him.
Wow. It's him on the left.
The hell you say?
And they had several #1 hits on British.
He was a pretty blonde boy.
British, whatever.
I would have had a crush on him if I'd seen him in those days.
That's a pretty niche thing, isn't it? British doo-wop charts in the 90s.
You only say that because you're not a fan.
Robson.
I'm just kidding.
Just kidding.
Actually, when I saw the picture, though, in the microphone, I was thinking he should have demanded trial by epic rap battle.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, my Lord, yes, please.
That was pretty cool finding that out. Those are about the two of all the things about Game of Thrones that'll blow your mind. Were those two, that he was in a doo-wop band, and then that Sybil Kelly, or however you pronounce her name, was a porn star a decade ago. So a German porn star, but like that matters.
Wait.
I don't know. I don't know if that means anything, Viv. I wasn't trying to make any judgments on the type of porn it would be.
No, I was just remembering my only reference of German porn.
Oh, yeah.
That porn was a bad one.
I don't think it was that, at least what I
And I think you're the one that showed it to me, PG.
I probably sent you the link to it.
I'm pretty
was
sure. That was that TV show, right?
No, they had the guy from Married with Children. The guy that played Bud. He did this web series where he was playing himself and all the bad things that were happening to him because he was, he's the guy that played Bud. And one of them, he was sent to do German porn, and it was like death shot and whatever porn. But
it was so disgusting, you guys. It was really funny though. Who was the guy? Who was the other guy? It was another
Patrick. The guy that was in Parker Lewis, whatever that guy's name is.
Corey Nemec.
Corey Nemec.
Yeah, that's right. So it was Corey Nemec and the kid that played Bud Bundy on Married with Children. It's a web series. I don't remember the name of it, but it was pretty funny. But that's my only German porn reference, and it had poop.
Yeah, I didn't see anything of that with her, but she definitely had a nose job in the last 10 years because her Starving.
That's what it was. Starving.
That's our recommendation. We should yes. Nicole needs to go home. Bye, Nicole.
Bye, Nicole. See you in a week.
Christiana has to go to sleep now.
Anything this time?
I know, but I can't see your face, and I can't tell you. You don't have that tired look on your face. Like, I need to go to bed. Let's end this.
Or when she's showing Luna to us, like
snoring sound effect.
Pictures of Luna going, I need to pee.
The other piece of new or Game of Thrones related stuff is that I've fallen also down the rabbit hole of watching. We mentioned this at least last year or the year before. There is a RTS called Crusader Kings 2. And there is a Game of Thrones mod for it that is, they've spent years on building out. And since I saw it last, I haven't played it because the game is very dense and beyond me. But in the year since I saw it, they've added like Essos completely. So they have all like Marine and Yunkai and Bravos and all these things over here, and you can play as Daenerys now, and just all these things they've added to it. They've got all these scenarios and history of Westeros that you can try to recreate and do and see how you would do trying to rule the Iron Throne. And there's this series of YouTube videos of this guy who does a lot of Let's Play things around these types of games. And seriously, there is like 90 episodes of him doing this, and they're each like a half hour long of him just playing this game. And he doesn't quite know the lore completely well, so he gets a lot of things wrong when he's talking about Game of Thrones, but it's incredible to I've watched like 2 or 3 hours, or I put it on just the audio of him talking about playing the game in the background when I'm doing stuff. It's pretty cool. So anyway, eventually I want to play if I can, because I've watched enough that at least I think I could try to get through it. So we'll see. I'm going to drag Chooch in to play too. Anyway, so that's it for our show tonight. Viv's laughing at me more than usual this episode because I'm a little, maybe I'm tired. I'm a little manic. I've been like, ah. And
You're fine, baby. Do your thing.
Thanks for watching, for listening later, watching later. Again, we will be on Sunday night, 10 p.m. or a little after 10. We will do a hangout, and we'll put that event up in Google no later than tomorrow. In the Googles.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope to see you for our immediate reactions to the next episode, Mockingbird. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Wall. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Drunk dial us.